I'm going to give Madam Secretary her time to give her report. Little changes. We're going to move Madam Vice Chair tomorrow. She gave me the heads up that she's not ready for her report, so we'll give her time for tomorrow, first thing in the morning. Bill, right after Madam Secretary's report, we'll put you on the agenda, and I got Mr. Bird right after you. I appreciate your guys' patience.
Good afternoon, council and executives. My report is in front of you. It's been a very busy month since the transition of the switching of the elderly coupons according to where the elderly wanted them to go. So that took a little extra time. The last of the elderly food gift cards for September are just being mailed out. They're just finishing up on those now. It's a lot for one person, so we pull in some help from wherever we can. So basically, it's self-explanatory. I won't read that out loud, but it's in my report, so hopefully we'll have that remedied soon as far as the timeliness goes. And just a friendly reminder to the elders that receive your food gift cards in the mail, you must have self-addressed stamped envelopes on file with the Elderly Resource Coordinator. If you have not received your gift card for 1 to 2 months, you may need envelopes. She usually sends out a note with your card, if it's your last envelope. And there are 2,258 elders. That was not corrected, but it will be corrected before it's put on Oyate News. So the number, instead of 2,191 elders listed for the month of September, it's 2,258. So every month it grows a little bit. There were 400 people that came to the Tribal Secretary's office for various reasons throughout the month of September, not including program managers and or Tribal Council. We logged in and responded to 247 phone calls, signed and approved 490 documents. There was 1 complaint received this month that is still being addressed. There were 75 scheduled meetings with Tribal Executives, Council, program managers, and others, including the WebEx and Zoom meetings. I attended the City Council meeting on September 13th to request approval for a permit to open the warming house on November 1st to April 30th. It was approved, and I would just want to say thank you to those that came to support that request, including Lake Traverse Council person. And attached to my report, my summary are all the program reports for your reading pleasure. So that's my report. I just want to say that we did update the pandemic policies. So there's some additions, and we'll meet again on those and just get those finalized. And I had her pass out a copy of the enrollment ordinance, and there's a purpose for that, although we won't discuss it here, and we'll probably schedule a roundtable. But I just wanted to draw your attention to C under purpose, and so that is what I want to talk about in the roundtable to establish that tribal enrollment committee under the enrollment ordinance. And on page 3 under K, and it just defines what that is. And on page 4 under Title 4, It explains that they have to take an oath of office and sign a confidentiality agreement administered by the tribal chairman. And on the top of page 5, under appointment, it just identifies how that transpires. And then the minimum qualifications is below that. So that's what I wanted to talk about to get that established, so we can address the dual enrollment issue.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. So just want to make sure, Christine, if you could get that together too.
Okay, and this may or may not be an action item because it was mentioned at one point. But as of today, we have 62 tribal elders that switched to teals. And we have we have decreased to the other store by 470. So that's just a little update there. And one thing that I wanted to bring up was we depend on Teoshpazina Tribal School and Enemy Swim Day School to order our Walmart cards under the SCRIP program. And they were approved to do that through council. But it kind of causes delays too, so we don't get our cards timely. So I wanted to propose to develop our own SCRIP program within the tribe and order our own cards, and that revenue that's generated could actually fund another position to help the elderly resource coordinator. So I'm going to be submitting counsel on that. And that's my report. If you have any questions.
Any questions or comments coming from council? Going over to Kakiza Haska, then going over to Dia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Madam Secretary, so from my understanding, that SCRIP money went to the tribal school. So how is that going to work in the future then if you're going to do a proposal to get somebody hired here? What are we going to do as far as, because I know that money helped with, I think the prom. It also helped out with other various things in the school. So I guess that's my only concern on that.
I actually don't know how they spend that money. I've never seen a report from them on how that money is spent. And I actually don't know how much money they generate by doing that process. So unless tribal council could fund another position for me for the elderly resource coordinator assistant, I need that extra position because this is too much for one person. And it's just delayed, and I'm pulling my staff, my politically appointed staff, over to help her. And then all my projects are delayed. My filing is backed up. So it's just frustrating for me because all our attention is on the elderly food cards at all times. And I just, to complete what I want to complete for this next year, I have to do something. So I'm trying to figure out what to do, so I need a position. I need to relocate this position to the elderly affairs or do something.
So, yeah, Madam Secretary, I think the last council and administration talked about this. that you needing another person in there, because it was, I think your office was getting a lot of complaints on the amount of time that these cards and stuff would be going out and stuff. And I think back then we talked about maybe proposing another position for you to help you in that area, so things can get out in a timely manner and everybody, can be, your staff can do what they need to do, and then those guys can just concentrate on that stuff. So if you want to bring us a proposal, I'd be more than happy to accommodate that, and get you that extra help you need, and that'll better assist everybody all the way around, and it'll make your appointees more freed up to do whatever they need to do as far as the stuff that they got to do, the tasks that they got to do. So if you can get us a proposal, I would be open to approving that. So
Thank you.
Going over to Dion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just wanted to commend your staff. Well, it's Minerva. I just wanted to commend her for all her hard work. I know that when we made that switch, that it changed, and I just want to commend her because she does a good job. She's very patient. She's very kind, and so I really appreciate that. And I just want to echo, what, and I think we discussed that last month or the month before, to just bring us a proposal and, for another position, and then, to move that under the elderly affairs, just encourage you to do that. And then the other thing that I had questions on was the assessment for the treatment center. I think we had one meeting, and we haven't had an update or anything after that. And so I'd like to, have an update, more regularly on where that's going. And then I see in the report that the plan is for 24 beds, and I'm just wondering how we got to that number. Because that seems, for the number of individuals that are being incarcerated, and that are in prison from our community, that are in county for substance use related crimes, that seems like a very, very low number. And so I'm just wondering how we got to that number. And then I also had a question about, what was the other thing? I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, the feasibility study is done, and I actually made copies for y'all. They're sitting by my computer. And the number 24 is probably just doubled from what we have existing, because right now we just have a 12-bed facility. So 24 beds, and Richard's right back there. But, and did you want to say anything about that, Richard?
Yeah, I think it's kind of at least 24 beds, not more. I guess it all depends on how much funding is for the extra funding. Right now, budget.
Richard, can you come to the mic at the corner over there, please? Wait, I apologize. We do have a listening audience out there. So.
Yeah, right now we're just funding for 4 beds. So it all depends on where we get extra funding for. Usually IHS is only going to fund us what we have right now. So with this council or program support or somebody is going to come up with additional funding, we could go with that go with whatever. People usually, prisons or whatever, sometimes they have funds, have to have a contract with them, things like that, so. But normally, 24 beds, that's, for this size reservation, that's more than what Rosewood has, more than what Pine Ridge has, more than what Turtle Mountain has, basically, so. So we're, just a number out there right now. We'll wait till the feasibility to see what that says.
And we always run into the O&M question.
Yeah. Mhm. So yeah, I think the feasibility study, they're not quite done completely, but they're just, I think by November 1st is when they'll have something final, I guess, to bring to council or to present to IHS, whoever it is, so. And then talk about funding, talk about, what it's going to cost and everything.
Just an overview of that.
Yeah.
So. Thank you, Richard.
Okay, thank you.
Curtis? Then Richard left that mic on too.
So I'm hearing the feasibility study is not quite done, Madam Secretary?
Not quite done,
Okay.
but I just have an overview.
All right, when that gets done, maybe we can schedule a roundtable and sit down and talk about our next step moving forward. I know the O&M was really a concern in the past, and maybe we can talk about that more in detail as soon as that feasibility study is done. I'd like to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else coming from, Dallas, go ahead, the floor is yours.
So last month, I gave Madam Secretary and the Chairman some homework regarding Department of Education, Dakota Language Institute. I was just curious if you guys have anything for us today.
Oh, Dakota Language Institute?
And the Department of Education, they came in front of us and they were bringing about proposals and they were curious. And I believe the motion was to come up with a estimated dollar amount that they would need to get everything back up and running again.
Like?
Full capacity. And so then that's where I made the motion, which passed, that you two would work together with your appropriate programs to bring a proposal in front of council so that they can improve.
I know there are some changes within that program. I have a new manager, so he's still getting a feel for it. So we'll get it as soon as that comes together.
Can I get just some kind of an update tomorrow then?
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else coming for Madam Secretary from leadership? Madam Secretary, do you have anything else?
No, I really don't like homework. Just kidding. But no, that's all I have. Thank you.
Motion to approve Madam Secretary's report.
So moved by Kakiza Haska. Second by Bade Hadakia. No question? Nobody wants a question? I'm going to call for a vote. Question by Madam Vice Chair.
Curtis Bissonette? Yes. Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr.? Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos? Yes. Dion Crawford? Yes. Tribal Vice Chairwoman?
Yes.
Tribal Secretary?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, Council. Next, Bill, if you're ready, if you could come up to the mic, make sure you're sanitized. And I think you hand out the Avera American Health Initiatives, right, Bill? Okay. I think all council has it in front of you.
Good afternoon, Tribal Council. I really appreciate the time you're giving me today on a very important topic for not only me, but other tribal members with end-stage renal disease who are on hemodialysis. The main reason I'm coming before you today is that I'm a tribal elder, I'm a Vietnam combat veteran, I'm an enrolled member, and I'm now experiencing Agent Orange cancer, which caused my kidneys to be affected the way they are now. coming before you, some of the main reasons for me coming before you, like I said, is I have end-stage renal disease. The U.S. Congress appropriated in 1997 the Special Diabetes Program for Indians, which provided prevention, intervention activities on type 1, type 2 diabetes complications. If they're uncontrolled, which are cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugars, all that kind of things, are other complications that are very high among Indians, were anywhere 2 to 5 times higher in all those areas. None of these funds are for treatment of individuals, Indian individuals with hemodialysis treatment. Other issue is a lot of overall tribal members in all tribes, there's over 30% are uninsured and can't get the treatment they need, and they will die very quickly. The other reason is Indian Health Service. I talked with Randy Jordan. They do not provide any funds or treatment for hemodialysis patients at our clinic. I contacted the IHS headquarters office in Rockville, Maryland, and our regional diabetes coordinators who control these grants. No funds are available for patients with hemodialysis. So these are the main reasons why I come before you today. Last week I handed out what I see as main initiatives to be addressed by you as the tribal council. If you identify a committee to address these issues, that's fine. If not, I will be willing to do it, donating my time and do it by proxy on behalf of the tribal council. I will only deal with the topics of hemodialysis. I will not commit the tribe to anything other than that. That's how important I feel it is that I will take my own time to do this. I'm on dialysis. I don't know how much longer I got. But while I'm here, I'm going to be actively seeking these kind of initiatives. I handed out to you last week a paper. In there are my inspiration for my initiatives, main contact to support letters for chronic renal disease and end-stage renal disease. I listed those all there, that who we should be contacting. IHS cannot lobby to increase our funds for this type of initiative. We have to do it from the outside. So it's really important that we contact the National Indian Health Board, Great Pyramid Chairman's Health Board, National Congress of American Indians, Senate Select Committee on Indian Affairs, your appropriation committees on the Senate side and on the House side. So we can do all that stuff, but when you go to Washington to lobby, we can do that. It can be done. The U.S. Congress recently passed a Consolidated Appropriation Bills Act, Public Law 116-260, which gave the authority to continue funding for SDPI until 2023. My point is, there's no funds for hemodialysis patient treatments and associated costs. Associated costs are other medicines you need while you're being treated, blood, iron, vitamins, nutrition services, visitation by doctors and nurse practitioners, all of that's involved in that associated cost. The other main issues in my handout is my main objectives, what are down there you can read later. Addressing the current needs. Currently, we only have hemodialysis units in Fargo, which is 120 some miles away. Morris, Minnesota. Prairie Lakes has this one here at IHS. Ortonville, Minnesota, and Millbank and Watertown. Those are anywhere from 35 to 50 some miles away. And if you're a hemodialysis patient, if you have to drive, when you're done with those treatments, you're very weak. And anywhere commuting 3 to 5 hours one way. If you do that twice one day, that's 6 to 8 hours out of your whole day of treatment. This is unnecessary. We currently have Prairie Lakes providing the services. They have 5 nurses there. They do 3 shifts, They work 12-hour days, Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. It's important to see if they would increase their services to one more in the evening or provide the treatments on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I don't know if that'll be cost effective for them, but see if they can do it. If not, I really, really recommend we continue and reestablish our relationship with Avera Health, with J.R. LaPlante. He's a Native American. He's a lawyer from Cheyenne River Tribe. He was the former Dave Flute's position at the governor's office, and now he's the director of the Avera American Indian Health Initiatives. So it's very important that we keep that contact with him. I called him before I came to this meeting several days ago. He's very willing to help us again. He was very disappointed that when we're under Chairman White's chairmanship, we initiated this process, but once Chairman White was left office, it discontinued. I'm trying to start that back up. If he helps us again, he wants to make sure the tribe is committed. So I'm asking you to really support my initiatives, your tribal members' initiatives, and you as a tribal council who is our leaders. I would like to see that done because he's willing to help us. He informed me that several other tribes in the Great Plains area are also approaching him on getting hemodialysis units, but he said we already established. He previously wrote a letter of intent to get this done. So he would very much like to see that the tribal council supports my initiatives.
Got a question coming over from Gypsy, Bill.
What's that?
Got a question over here with Gypsy.
And so this is for either Madam Secretary or for Mr. Rock. Does I just have a reason why they don't pay for the dialysis for patients?
No, they do not expend any funds for any dialysis treatment of our patients over there or any others. That unit is for everybody. The Indian Health Service only donates the space.
Right.
And the tribe initially bought the equipment, but since then it's just Prairie Lakes running the whole show. What Avera Health has done, the Yankton Sioux tribe successfully has a hemodialysis unit now in partnership with Avera Health. In that partnership, Avera Health manages the program for the tribe. The tribe owns the program. They donated the site and equipment. And if you look at the Indian Health Care Improvement Act, the most recent Indian Health Care Improvement Act, Public Law 94-638, in there, in the diabetes program, they still provide funding in a program for, like I said, special diabetes program for Indians, but they only allow for buying the equipment. Tribes can buy equipment for the dialysis unit, but they cannot provide funding for treatment. It's unacceptable.
Yeah. Will you be able to answer that, Leah? And why IHS doesn't pay for treatment?
Kidney dialysis is not a function of Indian Health Service.
Can you come to the mic, please?
Oh, okay. But it's part of healthcare, isn't it?
Sorry to be asking everybody to come to the mic, but it's hard to hear sometimes, and plus we got a listening audience out there.
So I think the question is why IHS doesn't pay for dialysis?
Yes.
That is, so dialysis is not a function that Indian Health Service provides. Every dialysis unit on every reservation is a project that's funded by the tribe.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to stay up here?
I'm sorry.
It's like it's part of healthcare.
Madam Vice Chair, sorry about that.
Do we know why? Do we have a reason why?
Yeah, it's always been in the federal laws, the Indian Health Service, they do not provide that, and that's why I'm really trying to get behind this initiative. They will not do it, it's not in the law.
So I know sitting on previous council, we talked with Avira on that, and you're part of that. And I'm glad to see that you're continuing that. And we went and toured their facility, and they also talked with Dr. Azure on bringing on a certificate, training certificate with the college to train techs to be with you in your home so you can dialyze at home. And it was an excellent move, and I'm glad to see that you're continuing that because it is important.
Yeah, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees in the college, and I would bring this up to the full board, and I would like to see that we do need hemodialysis technicians. Let me just show you, and if you have that handout, right now, the staff over there at Prairie Lakes, you got the administrator, program dialysis director, medical doctor, physician's assistant, nurse practitioner, hemodialysis nurses, 5 of them, registered hemodialysis, 1 technician, registered dietitian, pharmacist, biomedical technician, maintenance staff, hemodialysis machines, hemodialysis filtering machines, hemodialysis solution for hemodialysis machines, associated healthcare costs, medicine, lab work, saline solution, nutrition solution, medicines, property, site, and building. Just alone for the 5 nurses, approximately a salary at $65,000 a year would come to $325,000 a year. If you look at the funding the full staff, it comes to $1,040,000. Just estimated associated costs are $10,000. Let me just tell you, Medicare pays for hemodialysis. Last year in their annual report, 1 Medicare patient on hemodialysis costs an average of $85,000. So if you look at the cost at Prairie Lakes right now, just that unit, there's 23 patients per day, take 23 times 85, that's what Prairie Lake gets for taking care of the patients. So I would really recommend the tribe work with Avera Health, and Leo has been with us last year when we were going through, we made the visitations. JR was very supportive then. He's still supportive. I just talked to him, but he would like to make sure that the council supports our efforts before he puts more time and work into it. It can be done. He did it with Yankton. It can be done. If you look at all the other insurances you can collect, besides Medicare, Medicaid, children are on hemodialysis. You can get that state CHIPS program of South Dakota. You can get other non-beneficiary with this pandemic and everything. We have right now, I won't give the names, but three tribal members who had COVID, it affected their kidneys, now they're on dialysis. 2 of them passed away within the last 3 months, and they're only on dialysis 1 month. We need to take care of our tribal members. They're at all levels. And I will donate, like I said. And I have great experience in doing presentations. I will represent the tribe if you allow me to be proxy, to go to the Great Plains chairman saying you support these. I guarantee you they would support this.
Madam Secretary, if you don't mind, I know Leah's under your administration. If we could get Bill on board with Leah, so they could work together and attend these meetings, so this doesn't fall to the wayside. It's okay with you?
I would like to work with Leah and Sarah Dakota and others that you feel necessary, and because we need their support also. And Sarah historically was involved in making sure that got over there, which was a very important completion, a very good effort to watch out for our tribal members. Again, I appreciate the time, and let's get this done. If not, like I said, I can do it on my own, and I can go to Congress, I can write letters, I can do all kinds of things. But I'd rather have your support. You are our leaders. I want to help you, and you help me, and you help our tribal members. And I would really appreciate that if we can get that commitment today so I can contact JR and we can get started.
Visit a little bit about it, maybe with me and Leah.
Yeah, Madam Secretary, then Madam Vice Chair.
Okay, just to make it clear, you're doing this all voluntary?
Yes.
Okay, I think we need to sit down with the Tribal Health Director, yourself and myself, and we should get a plan of action in order, because you would need a letter of proxy to speak on behalf of the tribe if that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, right.
And,
I've done it before for our former tribal members.
We have a tribal...
tribal chairmen.
We have a Tribal Health Director that needs to lead the charge on this. So I think it would probably be appreciated for your assistance to her. But we can meet on that as soon as possible. But thank you, Bill.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Just 1 second, Mr. LaRock, we got Madam Vice Chair.
I feel like you two would be an excellent team. And so I do agree with Madam Secretary. And one of the things when we went to visit, I just want to make sure that I share this. One of the strengths of Avera was their compliance program, and they walked us through that. And it's very sound and it's very tested. And that is one of the things that caught my attention, and they've shown how they were able to maintain that compliance just by the way it's structured. And that's so important, because you don't want to lose the structure and how you care, because it's so sensitive on how they do the water and everything like that. It's highly regulated, and they have an excellent compliance program that makes sure that that is on point. And they've got a history for that, they got the record for that, and they've got the policy written to maintain that. And so I think you guys would make a good team with both your background, and like we said, Leah is familiar. She did visit, was a part of our team when we went to visit and explored these options.
My personal opinion, I think we can do what the Yankton tribe did and still own the project, and then contract partnership with Avera to manage it and run it.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, thank you very much.
I appreciate your patience. I know you wanted to get in front of council, and I know you handed out your paperwork last week, and so
okay,
appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to call on Mr. Byrd. I know you have the handouts that you already gave out to the leadership, and after Mr. Byrd, I'm going to have iLaunch program get ready, and after that, ET demo, and we'll take a break for DCA.
Well, afternoon. We just got some contracts and equipment purchased over $5,000, so we'll need council approval to purchase them or hire those consultants. Like Devonna passed out some of the paperwork on that or something. So they're with Generations Red Road, which has been doing this for us for about 5 or 6 years. Marlon Farley, who has been doing this for about 5 or 6 years, and Maria Stans, who is, also about 5 or 6 years. They provide Red Road and White Bison, well variety, things like that, family, codependency. They're all separate, though. They're all separate consultants that come in, at various times during the treatment program.
Members of council, I'm going to go one by one to get this on record. As Mr. Byrd said, he used them in the past, and I'm going to ask, after we go to each one, I'm going to ask for questions and clarification. First one is General Red Road, as he presented. You have the handouts. Any questions coming from leadership on this?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Kakiza Haska.
Second.
Second by Atea TP.
Question.
Question by Haipa.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wanna,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen, A. Lydia Amos, Dion Crawford, Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Before I go on to Maria Hazel Stan's contract, is it me or is, when it's time to give a voice, Tokonoa is always using the bathroom. He's always taking off right away. Just doing that because when we do votes, I'd like to have everybody up for your guys' voices. Maria Hazel Stans, any questions coming from leadership?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Curtis Bassinet. Second by Dion Crawford. Question by Susie.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wanna,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen, A. Lydia Amos, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
The last contract that you're presenting, Mr. Byrd, is Marlon Farley to be approved on this day of October 2021.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Dion,
Second.
second by Curtis. Question by Susie.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wanna,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen, A. Lydia Amos, Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, Council and Execs, and I think your last action item, Mr. Byrd, is your Marcos for your copy machine, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And Dallas is in here. I'm going to ask the questions of Dallas would say. Everything went through procurement. Everything went through the process
Yep.
already.
So moved.
So moved by Curtis. Yeah. Yeah. Was that second by Madam Vice or Madam Secretary? And this all went through legal too, right?
Yeah.
The contracts?
Yep. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure because we didn't see any stamps. Yeah, because we usually want to see stamps on there.
Okay. Does that have to be?
She told me after we get the motion to let them know, and then they'll do the stamped one for you to sign on the contracts.
Okay.
Oh, the contracts. Yeah.
Is there a question on the Marcos for the copy machine? Question by what agency?
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wanna,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
So this did go through procurement and everything then?
What's that?
This did go through procurement?
Yeah.
You're in here, so I asked those questions for you. I helped out Annie's one.
Thank you. All right, yes?
A. Lydia Amos, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion.
Thank you, Council and executives. Anything else, Mr. Byrd?
That's all.
I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate
Okay.
your patience.
Okay.
Motion to approve the Dakota Pride Treatment Center report.
So moved.
So moved
Second.
by Curtis, second by Dion. Question by Madam Vice Chair.
Who seconded? I'm sorry. Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wanna,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr., Dallas Owen, A. Lydia Amos, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion.
Thank you, Council. Any executive is calling up on the I-Launch program. Mr. Eastman? Just giving you a heads up, your dad came in, so we won't deny your request.
Good afternoon. I'm here for two action items on behalf of Project iLaunch. The first is to approve the parent-partner consultation contract. It went through legal. I did forward the email directly from Megan so that you know she had reviewed it. The parent-partner is a required personnel in our project, and the SAMHSA iLaunch grant would fully support the contract amount of $27,000.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Latency.
Second.
Second by Long Hollow. Question by Tokunawa.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Dion Crawford. Curtis Bissonette. Yes. Brandon Gypsy Wana.
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Okay, thank you. The second action item is requesting approval for purchase of Head Start classroom chairs for the children and teachers in the amount of $79.55 and 48 cents with SAMHSA, the SAMHSA grant supporting the
So moved.
purchase.
So moved by Kakiza Haska. Second by Iagata.
Question.
Question by Atea TP.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana.
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Dion Crawford. Tribal Vice Chairwoman.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, Council and Executives. Anything else, Ms. Eastman?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Motion to approve the iLaunch program report. So moved by Kakiza Haska. Second by Madam Vice Chair. If there is no question, I'm going to call for vote. Question by Madam Secretary.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana.
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr. Yes. Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Dion Crawford. Tribal Vice Chairwoman.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, Council and Execs. Whenever you're ready, turn the floor over to you.
Good afternoon, Council. I have 3 action items. The first one is the Assistant Wapton Housing is for $10,000. We do an internship with them. This year we had 5 internships. There were 3 that actually finished. The reason why I'm coming to you with it, it's the same as our employment training or our work experience program. Normally we do a stipend for them weekly, but it all went through housing and they just billed us. And so this is their bill for that. Normally it's done weekly through us, but entities that are outside of the tribal government usually do it that way.
Any questions or comments coming from leadership?
So move.
I've seen his lips pucker up, so that means he's going to make that motion.
Second.
From Old Agency, second by Long Hollow. Question over here coming from Tokunawa.
So I just want to make sure that all this, it's already budgeted then?
Oh, yeah.
All right, thank you.
For
I'll
sure.
question.
Question by Newsman.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana.
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman.
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
The second one is Eagle Sun. And this is an annual payment that we pay to them. It's basically our reporting system to the federal government, their software and maintenance. And we've had this contract with them since 2000, but so for 21 years. And in the last couple of years, I've been bringing it to council, but I think it just went through every year, but prior to that.
This is older in Dallas, so any questions coming from leadership? This one here. Curtis.
So how has it been done before then? How long have you been bringing it here?
I've been bringing it since I've been here in the last 2 years because it's over 5,000, but prior to that, they've just paid it, I thought.
Okay. Right?
I don't
Yeah.
know that there was a council, there must have been a council motion at one time that allowed them to do that, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Junior, then Gypsy. Sorry about that. I thought your hand was raised. Going on to Gypsy.
Okay, so if it's been 21 years, has anybody looked at the contract, the original contract, or anything like that for updates that might need to be addressed? Maybe negotiating the rates or not?
I don't believe so. The contract is behind the invoice, if you want to look at that, but I don't believe so.
Okay.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
So moved by Curtis, second by Junior Kirk. Question by Dallas Owen.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen, A. Lydia Amos, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Anything else, Devon?
Yes, the last one is for computer laptops, 25 laptops. I have 3 quotes, and I provided you with 3 quotes. We would like to purchase, get an approval on one so we can purchase them for our GAD program. I don't know anything about computers, so. They're supposed to be all the same, with different, I can't even see it, to be honest.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Which one are you recommending, and is it in your budget?
It is in our budget. And actually, I just only looked at the top one that was lease. So I'm assuming they're all the same because I asked for the same thing. I know that's,
The connecting point is the cheaper one.
sure.
So move, going, connecting
Second.
point by Oladensi, second by Haipa. Question by Madam Vice Chair.
I know.
Yes.
Dallas Owen, A. Lydia Amos, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
So if your computers come on floppy disks, Devon, we asked.
They look like they're the same. They're just, the prices are different.
All right, anything else?
No.
All right, appreciate your time and I appreciate your patience.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the ET demo report.
Thank you.
So moved by Curtis.
Second.
Second by Junior Kirk. Question by Madam Vice Chair.
Curtis Bissonette. Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. A. Lydia Amos. Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thanks, Council, for keeping me on time for a couple minutes above our schedule. So can we take a little break before we have DCA come on? Make sure that mic's off. Curdy, please, over there.
Good afternoon. We are live here at the Tribal Council once again as they get ready to start the session back up right after. There we go. We're back.
Council and execs, as we do have a quorum, I'm going to turn the floor over to our chairman of the DCA to start his minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on right away to Old Agency with their minutes.
How Padamia. How Ohitan Chazawas. Ateapi had their meeting on September 27th. We have 4 motions. Motion number 1 was for Felix Renville for Gary Kaikowski to develop a plan to combat drug epidemic in the community. Number 2 is motion number 11 for the temporary appointees of vacant positions on board, commissions, and committees. Number 15 is by Kay Bersham to accept Old Ladies District youth membership as listed. And motion number 16 by Brian DeMars to accept OED's adult membership as listed. That is all we have.
Motion to accept the September 27th Old Agency District minutes.
Motion to acknowledge. Thanks.
So moved by Junior Kirk.
Second.
Second by Curtis. Question by Madam Vice Chair.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos, Dion Crawford, Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Go ahead, Dickie.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we'll move on to enemy swim. Dallas wants to read those.
Of course. Motion number 2 to approve adult membership as stated and youth memberships as stated. Motion number 3 to accept the relinquishments as stated. And motion number 13 to rescind the 10-year plan based on the Failure Act for the Housing Authority. Motion to acknowledge the receipt of minutes.
So moved by Emily Sim for the September 23rd District meeting. Second by Curtis. Question by Dion.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos, Dion Crawford, Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr., Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, move on to Long Hollow.
Good afternoon, council and leadership. Motion number 8 to receive back pay for the last 6 elderly casino days. Motion 21 to approve new youth members as listed. Motion 22, youth to adult as listed. And motion 23 to approve the relinquishment one as listed. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman Cook. I'm going to ask for a motion to acknowledge the Long Hollow District meeting for September 16th.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Curtis.
Second.
Second by Madam Vice Chair. Question by Dion.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr., Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos, Dion Crawford, Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, move on to Lake Traverse.
Good afternoon, executives and tribal council. Lake Traverse District had the executive meeting on September 30th, and the only thing we have is motion number 2 to accept the adult relinquishments as listed.
Motion to acknowledge the executive meeting for September 30th.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
So moved by Dion,
Second.
second by Dallas. Question by Curtis.
Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr., Dallas Owen, A. Lydia Amos, Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, move on to Beverly.
Haypa District had its regular scheduled meeting on September 12th. Motion number 6 is that each district gets 1.5 each year for the next 3 years for economic development. Motion number 7, that the tribal chairman follow through with motion made on August 3rd to amend all tribal penal codes, handbooks, and personnel policies to reflect medical marijuana. Motion number 9, to waive tribal council motion, Terra ordinance regarding the 70-30 workforce of tribal members during the pandemic to get people to work at the casinos, added into the hiring process. Motion number 10, to eliminate current DNGE wage compendium and go back to the former wage matrix. Motion number 11, to reaffirm district's past motion to reestablish boundaries of the Lake Traverse Reservation and for tribal councils to advertise an RFP for attorney to assist with this objective. Number 12, motion number 12, for the tribe to not lease any more land to non-natives. Motion number 13, to authorize district executives to proceed with use permit process for land at the Dakota Connection Casino for economic development. Motion number 18, to give Chuck Floro a permanent contract for the Shota. Motion number 19, for the tribe to push to get IHS a patient advocate to help the people. Motion number 20, for the tribe to use ARP funds to build their own for-profit hospital. That is all.
Is there a motion to acknowledge September 12th and September 30th of the Haypa minutes?
Motion to accept, acknowledge the minutes.
Motion moved by Gypsy. Second by Dion.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen, A. Lydia Amos, Dion Crawford, Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we'll move on to Buffalo Lake. Buffalo Lake had their regular meeting on September 23rd. Motion number 2, to change the amount to allocate to each district from $150,000 for 3 years out of the ARP funds to $1.5 million for 3 years out of the ARPA funds, provided that each district has a business plan approved by tribal council before they receive the funding. Motion 4, to have a district day from age 18 to 54 to receive 400 per member. Motion 13, to have SWO council declare a health of emergency due to the shortage of medical doctors at our IHS clinic. Motion 14, for the Veterans Powwow Committee follow the same procedures that the 4th of July Powwow Committee follows and to have the same ex officio over them as the 4th of July Powwow Committee. And that was all Buffalo Lake had.
Motion to acknowledge the Buffalo Lake District
So moved.
minutes, moved by Olatinsi. Oh, that was Curtis, sorry about that. Second by Dallas, question by Haipa.
You got a higher pitched voice, that's why.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr.,
Yes.
Dallas Owen, A. Lydia Amos, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman,
Yes.
Tribal Secretary.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson, for acknowledging all district minutes and going on to your DCA report.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, DCA made a motion last night, motion number 10-06, made by Francis to assign Marty Jackley to represent Mike Carlson and coaches in the Sioux Falls incident.
Before I go on, can you kind of give a background on that, Francis, please? And if you need any letters from me, I'll do that for you.
Mr. Chairman, there was an incident involving Tioshpazina coaches and students that happened in Sioux Falls. They got sideswiped by a vehicle and then rear-ended by a second vehicle. While they were waiting for law enforcement to show up, it sounds like some of the students that were in the vehicle, they were recording one of the vehicles that hit them, emptying out beverages before the law enforcement got there. They never did question any of the Tioshpazina staff that was there driving them. They just issued a citation for running a red light. And I guess the Washichu people that were in there, they were saying that the coaches were drunk. They never PBT'd the coaches. They never PBT'd the other vehicles that hit them. They let them go. The athletic director showed up after the coaches called him. He was by Brookings, so he turned around. One of the Washichu boys that was in that vehicle was bumping chests with the athletic director, and so he kind of pushed him back, and they arrested him on site for assault. And I think that, with all of the racial injustices that are going on, this is a prime example of it. And I think that a letter from your office, Mr. Chairman, either to Mayor Tenakin or, to the Chief of Police, maybe even from Marty Jackley himself, I know Tioshpazina has an in-house legal counsel up there, but I think, Marty would be a better, person for this issue. The driver of that Suburban was my daughter, and she didn't know any better, so yesterday she went and paid her fine already. But the fact of the matter is the way they were treated. And that's not right. Mayor Tenakin's building, multicultural facilities and whatnot down there, and he's trying to get more people to come to Sioux Falls, but his police department's not doing their job. She even pointed out there's cameras at the intersection. Can't you look at the cameras and see who ran the red light? And they said, yes, we'll do that tomorrow. So then I think most of the parents had to drive to Sioux Falls and pick up their students because that vehicle was inoperable. And I know Councilman Bissonnette, his daughter was in the vehicle, and she's seen a lot of it. She witnessed everything firsthand. My daughter is 28 years old. She's never drank a drop of alcohol in her life. So it's upsetting to me, how our membership was treated in that community. So that's the reason why I brought it up at DC. I know I did reach out to you, Mr. Chairman, the other night, the night that it happened, and I appreciate anything you can do, and I think the athletic director should be acknowledged for stepping up for our students and his staff, the way he did. And I probably would have did the same thing that he did for them, invading my personal space. So that's some of the history behind that, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if Curtis, might have heard something from his daughter, anything different than what I've heard from my daughter, but that's what I know about the incident.
Thank you for sharing the background for the leadership here and also with DCA, because it kind of everything in a nutshell that you shared with us should never happen. But I appreciate everybody for stepping in. Dion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So myself and our in-house attorney have tried to get a hold of Mr. Jackley. But I think that to see if he was available, because I know that his contract, I think, is up soon. We did an addendum at any rate. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to assign our in-house attorney to contact Mr. Jackley to do an addendum to his contract to look into this and represent those individuals that were involved in this incident on the 3rd. Was that the 3rd? In Sioux Falls. And also to look at, well, maybe that needs to come out of your office and you can take care of that. That's my motion. Thank you.
Motion made by Dion, second by Dallas. Question by Curtis.
So we're going to use our attorneys to represent these ones that were, I guess, discriminated against. Are we going to use our attorneys to represent everybody that goes through this racial bullshit in this town? Excuse me, sorry. But I mean, I've come to all of you before with racial tension and hate crimes going on, and I got nobody's attention here. Until it becomes your children, then it's ignored. What about all of our kids? We have to address the hate amongst everybody. You have 20 circuit up, for instance. Right now, we've got cops coming out there on the reservation targeting our natives. What is anybody doing anything against any of this? Unless it becomes one of yours, it doesn't matter.
Call for vote, please.
Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana.
So this would be with the tribe's dollars versus the school's dollars then, with that attorney? We're replacing that with that funding?
He already works for the tribe.
Okay. I'm gonna abstain.
Floyd Kirk Jr.
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may ask a question? I know he works for the tribe, but who's going to pay that? Is that going to be an expense of the school? Because this is was it a school event?
They were on travel back from Lakota Nation Invitational.
So it was a school event? And is the school attorney, have they initiated anything? Is there any insurance?
That I'm not sure.
Okay. Is there a way that we can look into this further for those details? Because we will be setting a precedent. And if it's a school event and a school function, there should be insurance, and they have, like you said, an attorney. They have the avenue and the process to address those type of concerns when it comes to their students.
I guess that'd be a question for the ex officio.
Junior.
I can find out. Obviously, I don't have no control over the board. I just sit there on the side and listen to what they have to say and bring back the information. It used to be the board chairman was the ex officio, but that's not the way anymore. I don't even have a vote, but I can find out.
Thank you. So I'm going to say no until we get additional information on that.
Tribal Secretary.
No.
Mr. Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, Council and Execs. Mr. Johnson?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we go to DCA motion 10-07 is to build a hotel at Dakota Connection. And then the other one, and it's not on here, but it was made, I'll just name it 10-08, is to have infrastructure upgrade here at Old Agency and Dakota Connection using ARPA funds. And then those are just the motions. Okay, then we go to the three districts that have, is the 1.5 million, or in total 4.5, and last month was Old Agency, this month it's Veblen and Buffalo Lake. So that is a action item for today.
Any questions coming from the council or the execs on the action item presented by Chairman Johnson? Gypsy, floor is yours.
Can you explain more about the infrastructure you're talking about for Old Agency and Dakota Connection?
Just give everybody a heads up that we plan on doing all that. But it's going to be with the next monies coming down, because that's all infrastructure money coming down. So that's specifically what it's for. So it is coming.
Okay, so that was water and sewer to be first on your list, so then we could start building.
We talked about it and also did give the DC a heads up. Mark Van Norman's going to be in at 1 o'clock tomorrow after council for an update. So you guys are welcome for the update then. So I invite you guys all back. I know, Jesse, you're always busy, but if you have time tomorrow, you could find time. They'll be in the discussion tomorrow with Mark Van Norman. Jesse, then Madam Secretary.
See, I brought something up when this was brought up at the meeting last night, because I talked to our previous representative, and I think he still works for us, Bruce Jones, and he called me on Friday and he asked, how come SWO is not putting any request for funds in the first district water project in Watertown that represents our area? So I said, I will find out. I brought it up last night, and I'm going to bring it up again today. There's no applications in the first district in Watertown. So just trying to find some information, because we're being left in the dark.
Secretary, then Curtis.
I know I brought this up once before, but I'm wondering, okay, so we have 7 districts. So the majority vote of 7 districts should be 4, but it's 3. So I'm wondering, when did it change to 4, and how did that become a majority vote out of 7 votes, 7 districts?
Karen, you want to answer? Just turn on your mic so we can all hear, please, Karen.
Okay, council passed DCA's constitution and bylaws in 2010, and in there it states that 3 districts, any 3 districts with the same motion can come in and present it to council.
Thank you. I wondered about that for a long time.
Better turn that mic off for her. You get slapped again. Curtis, appreciate your patience. Go ahead.
So we were talking about monies. There was an email sent by Mr. Flute out in Pierre that there's also money there for economic development too, for all the tribes in South Dakota that nobody's even tapped into. So I think if we're going to do this with Watertown, with the water stuff, I think we need to do it there too. And I mean, it's free money. All we got to do is come up with our plan to move the tribe forward with that, and then I think we get allocated a piece of that money, $100,000 or $100 million actually. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
And that was the reason why I had the conversation with Bruce Jones, because Brett Hansen from the fire department was inquiring about if we were ever going to improve the water system out here, and that the state did have money. So I inquired with Bruce Jones about that, and what he said, we could get it one time as a district. We could put up a water tower, tie into the system, but we don't have a treatment facility. And by doing that, we would also take away from the tribe's ability to get more funding. So it wouldn't be a good move on, district's part to interfere with the tribe's process. But we've had 3 projects out here affected by the not being able to supply the sprinkler systems in our buildings. And I'm sure it's affecting the schools. It affects Dakota Western. They had to install their own water tank, and that's what we were thinking about doing, because I talked to John Cloud, and I think the only funding he has is to fix the 28 hydrants in the area that are not working. Because what I was told by the fire chief is that our hydrants in this area are not compatible with the hoses that the city uses. There's no sharing of information. So, until we all start working together, we're all barking up. So we stopped our process in trying to get our own water tower. But it's definitely, we got 3 wells west of here that are operational, that we could tie into our own system, because John and Cloud did mention that BDM is running out of water. So we need to become self-efficient.
I'm sorry, Curtis, but it just popped in my head. So how do we know that they're not tapping into any of our, do we know that? We don't know that. Okay.
Madam Vice Chair, that's called fracking, and that's probably exactly what's happening to our aquifers right now. So I mean, if they're drilling sideways into the aquifers that are under our lands, we don't know that. The only way we can find out is trace the well.
Do we have anybody who can do that within our program, LTUC? Is that something specialized outside of our realm?
Well, we have Helms as a retainer that can advise us on all of our water systems and sewer systems. In fact, they're waiting for a direction on to proceed ahead with Old Agency Water Project. We years ago, when I was a commissioner for planning, we did studies, and Matt said he has them, of where we were going to put a water sewer treatment plant out on the east side of the college where we got land, and then we were going to do the one at Connection that the motion talks about, because we're not becoming self-sufficient with all this infrastructure money coming. It would really be beneficial to use that money to become self-sufficient.
I agree.
Thank you.
Curtis, question or comment?
So you talked about the water hydrants here, and how much did you say? 28 of them? So we did have a meeting in the training room, and Ross Hansen was there, and he had told John Cloud at LTUC to get a list of all of those hydrants, because with his checklist on that money he has at IHS, those would be replaced for free at no cost to the tribe or anybody else, because that's what that money is allocated for. So I think him and John Cloud were talking about getting those back up to par in the agency in Crawfordville area here. So I think that's already in the works, because that's free for us. So
I know John identified them, but again, it's probably laying on Ross Hansen's desk.
So that's free money, and that's what he said. Those meet the criteria for that. So, and those would be paid for. It would be at no cost to anybody, because they have that funding there at IHS for that. So,
Madam Vice Chair, then I'm going to turn it over to Francis.
So that concerns me, that if they're running out of water and we don't know if they're tapping into ours, but we do have a water study, if I'm understanding Floyd correctly, and it is with planning, I would like to make a motion that planning and LTUC work with Helms to reintroduce that and take another look at that and see where we're at.
Motion on the floor, but there's a question over here with Deanne.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So RPC had a meeting with EPAC. Susie's their ex officio, I'm the ex officio for RPC, and we started to work on a project to quantify the water and really have conversation about this issue. And I think we talked about that last month. So
Susie has a meeting with them tonight, actually, with the EPAC meeting.
So that portion of it is, that project is underway.
Motion on the floor, second by Haipa. Call for question. Question by all agency.
Vice Chairwoman?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette? Yes. Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Floyd Kirk Jr.?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos. Dion Crawford.
Could you read the motion back for me, please? What was the motion?
Okay, so the motion was to have LTUC, planning, Helms, reintroduce that water assessment, correct?
The one that was already done?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do they need to be working with RPC or anything? Anybody else you feel? Is that good? Okay. They already have it? Okay.
Tribal Secretary.
I'm not clear on the motion. Reintroduce the water assessment?
They've done it, but being what Jesse just brought to our attention, I feel like we need to reintroduce it.
Okay,
And take
so
another
BDM
look at
said we're running out of water?
Basically, what's going on is there's no push forward. I believe Matt's probably waiting for instruction to move forward, and we all know that Matt's plate's full. But sometimes there's supposed to be an instrument in place, and Floyd and I talk about this all the time, and Louis, and I think Curtis was trying to listen. But so what we try to do is after planning, there's supposed to be another instrument in place where that instrument picks it up, basically a task force, and walks it forward. And so everything's kind of bottlenecking past Matt's point, you know. So and RPC's point. Actually, RPC has already addressed this, but
Maybe.
like the Helm study, it's been ready since how long? Since December, I believe, right? Yeah, even last year maybe. The report's been waiting forever for some instruction of what to do next. Does that make any sense of what I just said?
Okay, so if they're going to reintroduce is it the Helm study, water assessment? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, it's already done. It just needs to be pushed forward.
Okay,
Otherwise, the assessment becomes too old. After 2 years, you got to do another one. It's just like a business plan.
okay, so if planning and LTUC work with Helms to reintroduce the water assessment, are they going to bring it back to council so we can
With their proposal,
hear
right?
about it?
Well, I think that's going to be a justification for the funding that's coming down from the infrastructure bill. According to Bruce Jones, which I wish we had back in here, but there's a conflict of interest because he used to work with rural development. So there's some things he can't touch, but we can still talk to him. And that's why it was really important that we heard from him that we haven't applied for no money. And the money's falling off the table in Watertown. And they're asking Bruce Jones, who normally orchestrates this, why isn't the tribe doing anything? And I contacted Matt about it, and he said he's going to try to get his hands on it because apparently somebody else, that was detailed to somebody else.
Okay, so they're going to reintroduce it for purposes of seeking funding? Is that what the whole purpose of reintroducing
To be
it
ready
is?
for funding, I would really say that. I would, yeah.
Okay, maybe that should be in the motion.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I can clarify that if we put that in there to be project ready for any ARPA infrastructure funding.
While you're writing that up, Lindsay, I'm going to call on Francis.
Mr. Chairman, as Jesse pointed out, you know, we got the water issue, and I know the mayor's been here last administration, the administration before, and he's been here this administration. This is the reason why he's asking for your guys' support, because the city of Siston, if they build a new water treatment facility, they're going to be selling water back to BDM because BDM is short on water. So that's his whole point, you know, why he wants to come out here and ask you guys for assistance. But the other part of the coin too, when Jesse is talking about a shovel-ready project, Ross Hansen has monies that is allocated to his office every year. Every year he should be approaching this council, asking you guys to prioritize the list of activities that he has proposed. And I don't know if he's done that or not, but that's something that you guys can utilize as a priority, you know, for that. And for, you know, the other part that really bothers me is the fire hydrants. You know, that's, to me, that's an insurance issue. You know, what happens, because right now you only have one fire hydrant in this area that is compatible with the Assistant Fire Department, which is in the college parking lot. Now, if this building was to catch on fire, or the school, or whatever else, and if the insurance company finds out, hey, they didn't have, you know, adequate, you know, accessibility to reload their tanks, their tanker trucks. So, I mean, that might be an insurance issue. So I think that should be a priority as well, too.
Madam Vice Chair.
Okay, so project ready for ARPA for that water assessment. Now, back to my original thought and question is, if they're fracking, and I think to me, I'd like to make sure that we're assessing whether that is happening. And how would we go about making sure that we're doing our due diligence to make sure that they're not fracking into any of our aquifers?
Waiting, Jesse. He's quiet now. Ask for a vote.
Or would that be something to discuss at home? Because that's my concern. Since you said if they're running out of water and we don't have a way to determine that, then we need to take a look at that.
You want a roundtable?
Yes.
Set up. Christine, we could set up a roundtable for that with that. Let me see who else was there. Was this Curtis? Then I see the Madam Chair from the Emily Swim District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Who is LTUC under? The chairman? Okay. All Ross is looking for is a list of those fire hydrants, and then he can come in and fix them. And that should be a quick fix there. Yep. And I think, yeah, John Cloud has that study also. So, and then he identified all of those because they did that study and that determined all of that in there. And so when John Cloud brought this up in the planning, and I was listening, Jesse, and I know you weren't because you were talking, but he talked to John Cloud and said, give me a list of those fire hydrants so we can get out here and get them fixed and replaced right away. That's what he said. So
Crystal, can you come up to Mike, please? And after Crystal, Francis.
Yeah, I just had one thing. About 4 years ago, we brought in a man by the name of Wes Martell, and he came in, Myrna, you remember? We brought him he was going to do help us with our water codes, because before we can claim officially our aquifers, we have to have our water codes for this tribe specifically, so we can quantify, so we can figure out what it is we have, because if we go to court in a fight in court about this, what are we going to have to stand on? We need water codes. So I'm glad you're going to have a roundtable. Maybe we can invite Wes Martell to come because he wrote water codes for a couple tribes now.
Do you still have the contact with that, Crystal, or who does?
Yeah, I do. I can get it to Christine or
All right, I
somebody.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, Crystal. Francis.
Mr. Chairman, to answer Madam Vice Chair's question, it'd probably be LTUC or Ross Hansen that would know how to check that, because, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, you guys had a motion coming out of Caipa to look into the dairy farm up there that was supposed to be fracking into your guys' the aquifer on tribal land up there, right? Yes. So, I mean, they would have a list of the well drillers, and the well drillers would be the ones that would know, you know, where they were digging at. But the other thing to correct, you know, to add on to what Jesse's talking about, those 28 hydrants are just in this area. That's not including Enemy Swim. That's not including, you know, Bikuli, you know, all the housing sites. That's not including them. That's just in this area.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman Johnson, that I stopped with the motion with Madam Secretary. She pulled Curtis to stop those votes like that. So I'm going to call for a vote, please. Oh, Madam Secretary, is it? Still waiting for her vote.
Yes. Oh, okay. I was confused.
Thanks, Lizzie.
It's been a long day.
Sorry about that, members of the DCA. It's been a long day for us. Back to you, the chairman. Johnson, go ahead.
Okay, back to our one action item. 1.5 million each year for the next 3 years for all districts. Brought in by 3 districts.
Anything from council or execs on action item 1.5 million each year for next 3 years for all districts? This is coming from the ARPA funds. Curtis, then Madam Secretary, and Dion.
Can we table this and have a roundtable with it? Discussion?
We're meeting tomorrow. And we got 30 days, according to the DCA policy.
Madam Secretary.
Is this on top of the 150 a year for 3 years?
Replace it.
Replacing that with this.
1.5 per district?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Per district. For 3 years. 31.5 million. Yep. I can't agree with that.
You still have the floor, Madam Secretary.
I yield. It just blew my mind. I just wanted to clarify it. Thank you.
Dion, then Dallas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So one of the things I think we need to be cognizant of is that we have to make sure that this follows the guidance. And I don't know if any of you guys have read the guidance documents, but we have to make sure that it follows the guidance. So I know that we had talked about doing small business. I don't think it was to the tune of 30 million, but we had wanted to do that. And I think that it would be better suited to have a roundtable first with our consultants to make sure that we're following the guidance on that. So that's my comment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Going over to Dallas, this reminder, we're going to have the roundtable at 1 o'clock after council with Van Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, out of curiosity, I see it's 1.5 million each year for the 3 districts, but it's not prorated by enrollment. You guys are selling me short here, even if you wanted me to pass something like that. Enemy Swim's the largest district, and if we're doing 31 million across the board, and we're not getting a fair share out of that. I just had to share that. Thank you.
Dion.
Just real quick, just to speak to that, Tokanua, I think that there's been a large investment by this tribe into your community. So, I think we need to talk more about it. I think that's more than fair. Thank you.
Chairman Johnson, right now I'm hearing that we need to table the discussion until tomorrow.
Oh no, I keep hearing you guys saying, well, we gotta wait for the consultant and we gotta have a resolution for this, resolution for that. Well, then it's already, everything's being spent as we're going along here. Why are you putting this on us like that? You gave some to Dakota Western, you gave some to LTUC, you gave some to Phil Inc., now to the college.
You got someone with their hand up back there. Let's see who that is.
I mean, why us now?
Brenda? Can you come up to the mic though?
Okay, my question would be, if we're going to be giving these districts money for, that's a large amount of money. Are we expecting a business out of it? I would like to see some accountability for these large amounts of money going back to the districts for economic. We have one district that has a business, or is there more than one? One. That's a big amount of money. So what do we do when we don't get businesses, lucrative businesses out of this money that's being asked? We don't, as district members, we don't hold accountability when these business ventures fall through, when this funding comes to our districts. So before we give money, I would like to see, just as a concerned Big Coulee district member, some accountability. If we're going to be giving this large amount of money away to these districts for economic stuff, we need to see something out of that. How long have we been giving money to districts for economic development? Does anybody know that? How many years have we been giving districts money for economic development to have one lucrative business out of that? So us membership that don't get the opportunity, that get turned down when we bring our little businesses to the district table, is a kick to our face. So I'm just speaking from seeing this cycle. Give, 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 give. What do we produce for our people? Because we're going to give it to you guys to make some money. What do we do when you don't make money with the money we've given you? Nobody wants to be held accountable on that end of it. So my suggestion is, if these ones want to give money, then they're part of the accountability of not having lucrative businesses. Somebody's got to give us money back. We just chalk it up as a loss. That's pretty much what it is. We're going to distribute all this money. We've got one lucrative district that's doing something with it. There's never no time frame to give it back. There's always forgiveness. We're going to forgive amounts. It's just a repetitive cycle. I'd like to see something into our youth that can survive and be replenished for our children as well. Because we really are cutting our kids off at the knees constantly. Buffalo Lake takes care of their babies. They got a bowling alley that's kid-oriented, that's family-oriented. They don't fight about it. It's not off 1 minute on the next. It's something stable for those, but that's 1 out of 7. So I'm asking the decisions that be made today, that if we're gonna give this money, the ones signing for it at a district level, maybe we need a motion to be made, no money forgiven if you aren't producing a lucrative opportunity for your membership. Enough of just forgiving debts that didn't roll out and pan out and all of that, because the ones that keep applying that aren't being even listened to, we sit a back seat. All this, we get to watch all this money roll down and nothing being produced out of it. So that's just my comment. If we're gonna give these districts money, then somebody should be accountable when they sign for it. And no forgiveness, no more forgiveness to our monies that get squandered. And that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda. Going over to Chairwoman Cook. Then after that, I'm going to go over to Madam Vice Chair over here.
I don't believe Long Hollow has ever gotten any money for economic development.
Madam Vice Chair.
So I'm in agreement with Lake Traverse that we are going to be accountable to this money. And previous council, when we came with the CARES funding, we prioritized and we categorized and we did membership, we did district, we did for-profit, we did government. We sat down and put a list together and tried to give everybody something before we started building our infrastructure. And I think this council has done a good effort in making sure that we're giving to our membership, our district. We've already passed a motion for, was it 150 every month for the next how many years? So we've given to our districts, and now we need to prioritize our infrastructure, our other areas, our education, our youth. So we have been actively trying to make sure that this money is getting various places the best way that we can, but at the end of the day, we are ultimately responsible that it is in compliance with these regulations. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Going over to Francis.
Mr. Chairman, the only question I have is, when are we going to start on our Justice Center? You know, where's our Justice Center at with these ARPA funds? We sit here and wait for the BIA, we wait for the BIA, they give us money about every 5 years. The whole meeting that we had here a couple of weeks back with Roberts County wouldn't have never been happening if the money would have been allocated or go out and make a loan and build the Justice Center ourselves. We talk about sovereignty, why are we waiting on the BIA? Let's exert our sovereignty. Let's take out a loan. We got millions of dollars sitting in our coffers, but nothing for the Justice Center. You know, how many groundbreakings have we had for the Justice Center? You know, 3 or 4. You know, so I mean, that's what I'm saying. You know, we're sitting there waiting and waiting for the BIA, but the BIA is only going to give us so much X amount of dollars every so many years. If we want to be true sovereign, then let's build it ourselves. You know, they're jerking you guys around by, you know, saying that, okay, you can't have stairs on a second tier of the jail cells. They approved the contract for Roberts County, and that's exactly how their pods are. So there shouldn't be an issue. You know, so I mean, that's why I'm saying, you know, we have the money to build it, let's just build it ourselves. We were looking at a regional facility, you know, 10, 15 years ago. The BIA took our plans and they built it in Crow. You know, the jail could be self-sustainable as long as you got the right people running it. You can go after the U.S. Marshals contracts. Flandreau's contracting with Department of Corrections. We all toured Faulkton Jail. That sheriff out there said 1 year's time he holds maybe 2 of his own people from the city of Faulkton. The rest is all from Huron, Minneapolis, Sioux Falls, Rapid City. He was talking about buying a damn charter bus so he can transport prisoners back and forth. But here we are, twiddling our thumbs, Mr. Chairman. We're going to be sitting there watching the wind go by, just like we did for wind energy and solar and everything else. We need to start making moves.
I agree with you, Francis. How long has it been? Over 7 years now?
Same thing with medicinal marijuana, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair, then I'm going to...
I just want to say really quick to Francis, when we sat together, previous council, we talked about this, but our focus wasn't that it's just to incarcerate our people. It's a part of getting our people healthy. We, council did that long-term sentencing with the goal of getting our people in a safe place for a significant amount of time, so that way their next step to treatment or wherever that needs to be is we're preparing them for that. And so I don't want our membership to think, because I know Francis feels this way because we had many discussions about it previously, that it's not just to incarcerate, it's to give a pathway for our people in long-term treatment and healing. It's all encompassing, from the jail to the treatment to the outpatient to the transitional housing. And we have all the components for that currently, but that piece, the most significant beginning piece to that. Thank you, Francis.
Deanne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's actually not true, because we passed a motion to develop a drug court with a deadline of July. And we still haven't seen anything come across our table. And that drug court will relieve the pressure off the system. Like, it would be almost an immediate effect. We still haven't seen anything. So I don't agree with that. But I also think that, he's right. So, and I requested that we look at the resolutions again before we pass them. Pass the ones we absolutely have to pass, and then look at this again. So you guys want $30 million, and then we also need a jail. So we kind of have to pick and choose, because I think with what you're asking, that would probably go towards, part of that could go towards the jail. So what are we going to do with that? Are we going to take another look at it? I know I talked to, when we talked to Ross, that there was alternative funding, but he's right about that as well. So can we take another look at that, Mr. Chairman, and allocate funding for the jail?
I can include that tomorrow. Mark Van Norman gives his update with everything. And that's a question I asked with Mark Van Norman too about the jail.
because you don't agree with me doesn't mean what I'm saying is wrong. We are entitled to our opinions. And drug court is a part of this all-encompassing journey for our people to heal. And it is being worked on. And once it's finished, it'll be another component to this healing journey for our people. But just because it isn't here today doesn't mean what I just said is wrong. It's just different. And different doesn't mean wrong. Thank you, Chairman.
Motion to approve the DCA report. Hyper question over there. I'm not calling a question, but he had a question. Curtis. I just had an idea. Since all the districts are getting 150 for the next 3 years, that's $3.15 million. You guys can all go into one business and get done. I mean, that'll give you plenty of money to go all in as 7 districts and do one business. It might be profitable.
Talking about. We gotta wait for all the other 6 to get your plan done and get your everything. We're already done. We're ready to go. Why do we have to sit and wait? There's your answer, Curtis.
I don't. So I don't think any of the body would have pulled anything up. I don't think anybody's been presented us. We didn't bring anything to us to say, here's our business plan. Run it through your planning department.
We've taken it to planning. We've taken it everywhere over there.
Okay, I didn't know that, Vicky. We can check into it tomorrow. Because that's the process. We'll go over there. Then he comes in.
Oh, then they say we need a resolution from council to do this. Well, you guys already had a motion for this.
I know.
We gave them that motion. But no, we need a resolution from council. There's no question called.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
Lydia Amos. Dion Crawford. Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wanna. Yes. Floyd Burke Jr.
Yes.
Tribal Vice Chairwoman. Yes. Tribal Secretary. Yes.
We need to,
I didn't know the DCA was done. Just call for a vote to approve our reports. But I mean, I wanted to address the other issue with involving DCA's budget. You know, DCA's budget's been cut. You know, how come? Why has it been cut? You know, we saved money last year from the previous year's budget.
But then here we are being disciplined because other programs are overspending. You know, why is DCA budget being cut again?
I didn't realize that either. We'll take a look at that, Francis. When I get back, I'll pull that and take a look. Because we went off of last year's. So.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.
Chairman, there was one other issue that didn't get noted in our minutes last night, and there was comment made by me. And we talked about this big fight that took place Friday over money. And it said it was over the fact of one of the poorest departments. I don't know if I believe that. But I know the poorest department, and it comes under the secretary. And it's our young people that take care of daycare. Now, I still do things at daycare because that building isn't complete, because the fence hasn't come in yet. But Courtney down there has a hard time, and as all daycares, one guy, they even asked me to drive bus. I said, geez, can you hardly see the way it is? But anyway, I don't know if we're doing anything for these young people to get a decent wage to come to work. You know, and I know there's districts that want more free money to be handed out, but at Old Agency, we voted it down. Even at District Day, we voted down because we feel that with our business adventures, we're trying to promote building from within. And one of the things that we want to do is get on the agenda with council as Old Agency, because I'm sure you're aware of it. I don't know if Floyd let you know it, but we're working on a Section 17, and we were trying to get in today, but our lawyer, we only got one white lawyer, and he couldn't be ready in time, so Gordy's to blame. But we want to do this because I encourage all other districts to do this also, because we need to be able to go out on our own and do businesses and not rely on gaming. We were given an example last year what's going to happen to us. And it could just take a simple change of government, change attitude by the non-Indian population, and we could be poor Indians again. So I think this is a real blessing to our people that we have this chance to develop our businesses. And I think that's why, even though people think we're being greedy, we think we've never in our lifetime had this opportunity to have this kind of money to stand up on our own. And so we're not trying to be greedy as district leaders. We're trying to stand up and be accountable for our people, that we can provide for them, we can provide for ourselves, we can be self-sufficient. You know, we're not asking for a handout. We're asking for an investment into our districts. And that amount should be negotiable. Everything's negotiable. You know, when I say no to Terry, I let her negotiate what she wants. But at the end, I'm the one that makes the decision. So that's how you guys are. So Nina Wopita.
Madam Secretary, if you want to respond since your program came up, then Dion.
Yeah, I just want to respond to Jesse, because you're right. The daycare is short-staffed. Head Start is short-staffed. We need teachers. And the reason we're losing staff is because of the salaries. They're so low. So not only those two programs under me, but the Warming House, the House of Hope, they're all Ushika, you know? And right now we need beds, which are going to be coming thanks to emergency management. And, but we're having to get really creative with the daycare and the Head Start, and right now they're collaborating to share staff because they're so short-staffed. And these are taking care of our children, which should be considered the most sacred job in the tribe. Because to care for little children, there's a lot to be said about that. You know, it's a sacred duty. And, but I just wanted to say, yeah, that's good, you know, and we want to build a youth center which would benefit all the youth of the reservation. And we just have to, we really have to prioritize our needs with this money, and we really have to invest in our people. And how do we do that the best way? You know, that's going to take everybody's minds to come together and discuss it and negotiate it and, you know, come to terms with what we all believe is the most important in the tribe to get done with this money while the opportunity is here. But that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Dion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So to kind of respond, one of the things that we did and one of the resolutions that is being developed right now is for small business development, and that would be for individual members, but also for the districts as well. Under planning with staff to support, and it wouldn't be the current staff, it would be a new position, because under the guidance, small business development is allowable, and there are other resources out there for small business development, especially in certain sectors with the state and some of those areas. So there is a resolution for that. It's not allocated out, you know, this amount per district. It will be looking for other sources and things like that. So we did do that. We do have that, and that is in process. Thank you.
Francis?
Mr. Chairman, I guess I just have last thing to say is two more things. First of all, Curtis says, you know, we should all get together, you know, take our money and collaborate it. We can't get along. You guys can't even get along. What makes you think we're all going to get along here? You know, so.
Well, you guys are adults. You need to figure that out.
We gotta lead by example first. So you guys gotta start here first. You know, the second thing is, Mr. Chairman, is, you know, council, you guys need to really be careful when you guys are spending this money and allocating it. Because X amount of dollars, you're gonna make every one of these entities a sub-recipient of the grantee, and they're gonna be subject to the Single Audit Act. You know, so I mean, those are the things that need to be really taken into consideration. You know, otherwise those could be disallowed costs and we're going to be paying money back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Crawford. Going over to Curtis.
I just want to make a comment that, you know, people are sitting here at the table getting mad at us for not doing anything. We are doing stuff. We're constantly doing stuff. And just because we're not airing it out there doesn't mean we're not doing anything. You know, like, we have to make sure we're following the guidance. This is a lot of money that if we spend this wrong, we're going to have to pay it back. It was the same with the CARES funding. We did that right within a 5-month period. And people forget to understand that the ARPA funding is 3 years, not 5 months. So we need to make sure that we're carefully planning according to our guidance and prioritizing what we need to get done as a tribe and what we need to see moving forward for our next generation of people. And that's our children. And so when people sit here and say, oh, what are you guys doing? We're constantly meeting, brainstorming, calling, checking up. I mean, we're all doing our part as far as making sure we're prioritizing what's best for our tribe, because I feel that's what we're all elected for. We're all elected to make sure our membership is good with everything and doing the best we can to do that. So I just want to make that note that we are constantly talking, working, doing our part to do this. But you guys got to understand, the U.S. Treasury has guidance. They have strings attached to this money yet. They ain't going to just give the tribe free money. No, they still have strings attached to this money. So we have to make sure we're doing that. We're doing our part. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Going over to Lake Traverse member, Bill, if you still have the energy to come up to the mic and share your thoughts. Mike, so we got listening audience, Bill.
Sit down. That's okay.
And also to Bill's on Planning Commission.
I've been on the Planning Commission approximately 2 years now, and the only one business that I'm knowledgeable of is Buffalo Lake, the bowling alley. I've, at our district meetings, many times asked the question, why aren't the district doing a business? And so each district, by authority of the Constitution, can do their own businesses with the approval of the tribal council, but they have the authority to do that. But that's the only one I'm aware of. But we do have individual tribal members who have businesses that come to us with their business plans, and then we approve those. So there are two things. The district can come in and individuals can come in, and it was economic dollars. So that's my contribution to the discussion.
Thanks, Bill, for not chewing on Dion's mic for her work area. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Madam Vice Chair.
I just got one comment on the businesses. We need to, just be realistic and be honest with ourselves. We struggle at running business. But where I'm hopeful is after Dr. Azure came in and showed us this plan. Because in that plan, he's got it to where there's going to be degrees for business management and entrepreneurship. So right now, at this moment, we are not handling our businesses the way that we should be, but we do have a plan and it's in place, and we approved that today, and I commend this body for recognizing that and doing so. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Council and Execs, and I appreciate you remaining DCA members representing your districts staying for the conversation with leadership. Appreciate it. With that, that concludes our agenda. Oops, sorry. Going over to Gypsy.
I have a question. This is totally way different. So LTAR is going to be having another spay and neuter clinic soon, and it's going to be supposed to be completely voluntary, and they would like to know if we could provide 8-9 rooms at the Magic for them to do that. For some of their staff. And I don't know that they fully use 9 rooms, but, and in the past I've been told They would get either a council motion or executive motion or something for that to
They
happen.
did it in the past?
Yeah. But I don't know the dates. I thought it was going to be in November sometime. Okay.
Can you get more
specifics?
information on that?
Okay.
If they did it in the past?
Yep.
All right,
Alrighty, thank you.
Thanks, Gypsy.
Motion to adjourn.
To adjourn?
So moved by Kakiza Haskell, second by Tokunawa. Members of council, we are adjourned at 3:17. Excuse me.